Let's get started. Okay, everybody, welcome to CDA Technical Institute. My name is Reza. I'm the Director of Admissions here. I'm remote in California, but I'm here with our staff, and we're really excited that you're joining us. We had a lot of people RSVP, but the fact that you showed up and RSVP, that tells us you're very serious about this career. You're looking for a serious career. We're looking for serious students, so we're glad you're here. This is about an hour. This is your session. So any questions you have, let us know. Our program is located in Jacksonville, Florida. It is a 5-month training. We do have on-campus housing and the barracks with 7 days a week, 3 meals a day. It's one of the only campuses that offers that. You're going to hear from our students. Some of them will live on campus. We have students from all over the country, including from international. It's a very well-known school, been around for over 20 years. And we're looking for people who breathe, sleep, drink, eat, want to do commercial diving and maritime welding. So if you want to have an adventurous career, do something different, be an underwater astronaut, well, you found the right program. And we don't waste time. From first week you get here, we get you going. So the first speaker I'd like to introduce is our alumni and also our main instructor, Brandon, who has been knows everything about commercial diving, offshore. He instructs all of our classes and handles all the instructors. So Brandon, just give us a little background about yourself, how you got involved with commercial diving, what you did after you graduated, and a little bit about the classes right now. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I got started 2006. I had an uncle that was a commercial diver. He was a Navy diver and then went civilian commercial offshore. Then he became an instructor at this school. So 2006, I went to this school, graduated, and as soon as I graduated, I hired on with an offshore company, Chet Morrison. Stayed with them about 3 years. After that, I switched over to a company called Triton Diving, and I stayed with them over 7 years before I decided to come work here as an instructor. I worked here for an instructor for a few years, decided to go back offshore for the same company, Triton Diving. Stayed with them for another couple years, and then came back here again. Once I came back, they offered me the lead instructor position, and here I am now. So pretty much all I know is the offshore world. Now, I work with a lot of people that worked inland, but I mainly deal with offshore, and that's what I really know about. What the difference is offshore, you're going to go a lot deeper. You're going to work with the bigger tools. You're going to be breathing the different gases, and it's just a little bit different than if you decide to go inland. You'd be diving in factories, ponds, lakes, reservoirs, water towers, stuff like that. It's still cool. It still pays. It's just a little different. That's all. Now, this school, what you can expect, it's a 5-month program, like you mentioned. We start our days at 8 o'clock with a muster. Where we raise the flag after muster. If it's a dive day, you're going to go to the hat room, check out your gear, then you immediately go set up dive station. Our days end at 5 o'clock when you bring all your gear back to the hat room, put it all back, go outside to muster, and we end our day by lowering the flag. You're going to do a lot of different things while you're here. There's a lot of different aspects of diving. Everybody always talks about underwater welding, but that's just one small part of it. There's all kinds of other stuff. Jetting, working with hydraulic tools, big airlifts, inspection work, salvage, NDT. You're going to go through all that while you're here, get a little bit of piece of everything. And it'll give you a good idea of what field you want to head towards and what kind of company you want to hire on. I say the main benefit with our school is the bottom time and where we do the bottom time. The ADCI only requires 650 minutes of bottom time to get your certification. 650, that's all. While you're here, you're going to get 3,000. That's a big difference. The advantage of that is when you leave, it's just another day for you. You're not figuring stuff out anymore. It's already ingrained. You know what I mean? Not only that, but we're on the Trout River. The Trout River, now, don't get scared. We start you off in a swimming pool and then some training tanks. But once you get comfortable, we're going to put you in the river. And the good thing about that river is, number one, the current, and number two, the visibility, which is what you're going to have to deal with when you go to work, whether you want to go inland or offshore. And again, you're going to get so much time in that environment that you're just going to get a whole nother level of comfortability. And again, the benefit of that is when you do go to work and it is time to put your hat on and get in the water, you're already good. You've done 3,000 minutes already. It's just another day for you. Whereas other people from different schools, maybe, they put the water on. That may be the first time that they've dove in no viz. Maybe the first time they dealt with current. And that's not what you want when you want to make a good name for yourself, you know? So I really think this school puts out the best quality diver that I've seen, that I've worked with anyways. Again, I've worked with people from all over the world, from all kinds of different schools. And the company that Triton Diving, which I'm most familiar with, about 80% of the people we hired was straight out of this school, simply for that reason. So yeah, that's about what I got. Leo, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely like to piggyback off what you just said. Actually, I'm a graduate. I just graduated May 21st, started January 4th. But the Trout River with its zero viz definitely was a great training ground because it definitely prepares me for anything lighter than that, anything more visible than that is cake. You know, it makes it easier. So as far as instructors, courses, daily life, the culture of CDA was definitely warming. I say that to say that I mean every day was exciting, every day was different, every day was you know, you're running around, you're doing this, whether you're rigging, whether you're you know, doing the pipe project, whether you're doing, you know, scuba, whether you're doing you know, line pulls. It's just every day is something new, and you come, you might feel exhausted at the end of the day, but you look forward for the beginning of the day.
Leo, why don't you talk about your background, you know, where you came from as far as your training, just a little bit about yourself. I know you just graduated. Congratulations. I remember the first day when you were there, I was there myself for training. So can't believe it went so fast. So talk about your background. And I know we do have some vets already on here too.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Okay, my name is Leo Melendez. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I am a United States Army combat vet. Tours to OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Served 8 years. Like I said, I did join the program January 4th, finished May 21st. So as far as work, you know, we have a great career services. And 2 months prior to my graduation, I was getting flooded with emails and phone calls and whatnots of different companies wanting to hire me. So, you know, that was definitely a plus side to get me comfortable here, because I knew that upon graduation I'll be set up. And still to this day.
Sorry to interrupt you, man. For the past 2 years, we've had over a 95% placement rate. Yep. Over 95% of the students have jobs before they graduate or within the first year after they leave the school. And I can go ahead and tell you that the last class or two that graduated, all but about 2 or 3 students had jobs before they even left the school. And the other 3 had interviews set up within the week after they were gone. So sorry to interrupt you, Leo. Just want to throw that out there.
No, that's good. Right. Leo, talk about how the Director of Career Services, how you guys start doing research on companies and stuff. And also, if you want to introduce the other 2 students who are there, we'd love to hear from them too.
Okay, awesome. Let them introduce themselves first. First we have.
My name's Michael Watson. I'm a sophomore here.
My name's Sandra Christensen. I'm a senior here.
Where are you from and how old are you?
I'm originally from Georgia and I'm 28 years old.
I'm originally from the Virgin Islands. It's United States territory. I moved here to Florida like 6 years ago, was going to college and wanted to do something different. So ended up here.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Leo, could you explain, because I know I got this question, one of my students I called a couple of years ago, they're like, oh man, 4 years I said 4 years, people get confused about sophomore, freshman, senior. So they think it's actually like freshman in college and sophomore. One of my students was not going to apply because he thought we had 4 years. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to remember to bring that up. So I know you guys mentioned you're a freshman, you're a senior. So talk about how that works.
Roger. So essentially, you know, every 20 days is a different module. So, you know, obviously your first module, which is your first 20 days, you're a freshman, and then, you know, so forth. We have a senior 1 and senior 2. Senior 2 is basically your last 20 days. And, you know, that is when, you know, you do your 24-hour dive and some other things. You go in the wet bell, the open bell. You do your chamber runs. So, and you do your salvage week, which coincides with the 24-hour dive. But it's structured. It's structured like high school, like college, but it's not structured in the same time frame. So you guys don't got to worry about that. So I think Sonia actually is a senior one.
Yes, senior one.
She's a senior one. So, senior one, and then you are a
Sophomore.
So, yeah. So I mean,
so when did you start, my friend Michael? When did you start school?
I started April 26th, I think it was. So we're in my second month here, and it's been going great.
What did you do before you came here? And just talk to the students, because we have people here of all different ages. What made you decide to do CDA? I'm sure you did some research, and obviously you had some previous jobs. So talk about your life before and why commercial.
Well, before I came to CDA, I was a firefighter and EMT. I'm still an EMT on the weekends. Whenever we got our personal time, I actually go back home to Georgia and ride ambulances.
That's awesome.
But before coming here, I was a firefighter for 6-7 years, and I don't know. I wanted something that was more of a challenge, because as crazy as it sounds, running into burning buildings becomes routine after a while. I wanted something that would give me more challenge.
That's awesome.
Hey, Watson, you said you've been here 2 months now. Can you tell us some of the things that you've done so far as the diving, what you've learned?
Great question. Yeah.
Well, physics is one that stuck out to me. The physics as they apply to diving. That was a challenge, but I enjoyed that. And then as far as the actual diving goes, orientations to the hats, those, it's different. Anybody that has scuba experience, it doesn't quite relate. Putting that hat on is different than a scuba mask. So don't get hung up on that. Getting oriented with the 20-foot tanks, that was quite fun. And then the Trout River, that's the big one. When you get thrown into the Trout River, that's a different world.
Not literally, don't worry.
Yeah.
Only if you want.
Very good. So what advice would you give to students who are looking into the program and about making this decision? I know it was a big decision for you. What words of wisdom from you?
Trust your gut, rely on yourself, rely on your classmates. Y'all are in this together, you're a class, be a team. Don't come in trying to be a hot shot. Learn from the people above you and take the words of the instructors. They know what they're doing.
Great, very good. All right, and then the young lady, tell us about yourself. I know you come from the beautiful Virgin Islands. How did you end up here?
I moved to Florida like 6 years ago for college, and college just wasn't working out for me. I wanted to do something different and out there. And I found this place online. And before this, I was working at retail jobs on and off, like Whole Foods, Starbucks, Panda Express, the dead end jobs. But coming here is a really great experience. It was different. I'm a senior now. We're almost done, like less than 2 months to go. So right now we just learned how to weld on surface, and now we're learning how to weld underwater. We're just starting that.
What are some other cool dives that you've done? Some other stuff that you've done in the river?
At first, the first day I went in the river, I was really scared. I was like, it is darker than y'all explain,
I remember that. You didn't even touch the bottom.
I didn't touch the bottom. I hanged on the ladder and I got my bottom time. I get comfortable with the water and the ladder. But like
That's
the second time I actually, what did you
Sorry
say?
to interrupt. I'm saying that's the good thing though, is you don't have to just jump in right away. We have plenty of time for you to get comfortable, take your time, and build that level of security to where you can hit bottom and then continue the task.
Most definitely. So, did you feel like everybody was supportive of helping you?
Very supportive.
Okay.
Almost everybody went on my comm saying, "Sonia, relax. You're gonna be okay. There's nothing out there. It's just dark."
Yeah, most definitely. I think I saw you when you first dove, and then I'm glad you got that confidence. You ended up getting some bottom time.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to be scared, because then you can get overcome that. And
Absolutely.
the second time I dove, I hit bottom. It was different. I stayed in one spot, but I was feeling the ground around me, getting comfortable. And then it was like the third or fourth dive, I actually was walking around, just exploring and just getting comfortable. And now, now you can't keep me in one spot. I'm like looking for stuff everywhere.
Exactly.
That's cool.
That's great. Now, do you guys both live on campus, or where do you guys
Yes.
live? Can you talk about, because I know a lot of my students, when I talk to them, they call me, they're looking at different schools, and a lot of schools don't have the convenience of the on-campus housing. So talk about how important was that for you, and how does that work for you?
It's really convenient because you live here, all your stuff's in your room. So if you forget something, you just go to your room. It's not that bad.
You ain't got to deal with Jacksonville traffic in the morning.
Yeah, that's
That was a big one.
definite. They're pretty chill, pretty comfy.
Yeah.
You make up your own setup, and it gets fun that way.
Yeah. How was
So
the, sorry. Didn't mean to-
a big thing with the dorms is we're trying to, it's a training facility, so we're trying to get you trained up for when you go to work. And if you decide to go work offshore or even inland, you're going to be, the boat housing is not the best. You're not on a cruise ship. You could be sharing a room with 4 people on a twin style bunk. If you decide to go inland, you may go stay in some hotels or motels with some of your coworkers. So it gets you used to that environment. And again, you don't want to go to a job and then the first time you're put in that environment, be stressed out or uncomfortable and then want to leave. Again, you're here, you've done it for 5 months. When you go to the job, it's just another day for you. Hey, you already know what to expect. You're not trying to figure stuff out. Another thing is the cafeteria. You don't have to worry about breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You just wake up, you can walk to the cafeteria, eat, and then go about your day, just like if you were on a boat offshore. So it's not the Ritz-Carlton, but again, it's going to get you used to what you're going to be going into in the field.
That's great. Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, there's sacrifices. This is not for everybody. You know, one of the things I talk to my students is, you know what, this is not for everybody. You got to really want to do it. That's great. Now, as far as Leo, can you talk about, you know, some of the skills that they learn? I mean, it's not, I think, Brandon, you mentioned it. Everyone who calls us, they think it's just underwater welding. I know you talked about 14 different skills in the previous webinar. Can you go over some of the, you know, salvaging, you know, inspection, some of the stuff that they're leaving with a whole bunch of skills?
Sure. So rigging is a big part of anything you're going to do in the water. Almost everything you're going to do in the water is going to require some sort of rigging. So we spend a lot of time on that. We give you line and teach you how to tie 13 different knots with it and hitches, not only with line, but also with straps, endless slings, working with shackles, come-alongs, chain falls, all that stuff. Now, once you learn that rigging, again, you learn that almost one of the first things you do in the water, because you're going to apply that in the next courses you take. Working with underwater tools, we have hydraulic impacts, grinders, jackhammers, scrubbers. We have pneumatic airlifts. We have high pressure water jets. You're going to get comfortable with all those tools in that environment, which is a big plus. NDT, you're going to learn how to use magnetic particle to find cracks, ultrasonic thickness testers. You're going to get level 1 and 2 swim bys. You're going to inspect a sunken boat that we have. And then you're going to use that inspection in the salvage class to raise that vessel to the surface. We do 2 weeks of underwater welding, so you're going to get comfortable in that environment. We also do a week of underwater burning, which is where you use a torch to cut metal underwater, which is what Sanja is just starting right now, I believe. She's using the top side because tomorrow she's going to be in the water burning some stuff. It's an awesome torch. It cuts about 10,000 degrees, cut through just about anything. Let's see.
Brandon, Mahesh had a question. That's a good one. Do you need to know welding before you join the course?
Nope. You don't need to know anything before you join the course. We get people right out of high school. I came right out of high school. I came here as a teenager, and we're going to teach you everything you need to know to start in the field. You're going to get a little taste of everything. We do NCCER basic skills. So you're going to learn construction math, job site safety, construction drawing, basic construction skills through NCCER core curriculum. And then anytime before we do any project, we have classroom time. We're going to go over everything we're going to do, teach you all about it, and then demonstrate it. We're going to do a week of topside welding before we ever get in the water. And then we're going to do topside burning before we ever put you in the water. Almost everything we do in the water, we do topside first. So you kind of know what to expect. But as far as skills required to come to school, none at all. We just need a good attitude and come prepared and ready to stay focused. We'll teach you everything you need to know.
Yeah. And jump in, Leo, and the students, jump in, whatever you guys want to add. Please. This is your time, please.
Okay. You guys,
building off of what Brandon just said, yeah, stay focused. This is, your training, your education. So come here to do that. I've seen a couple guys who, want to kind of horse around and play a little bit. You don't want to be one of those guys. Most of the rest of us tend to try to shy away from those because we're here to learn. We're here to build skills for a career field, and just come here with that mentality.
Yeah, that's a very good point. One of our admission reps, Jeff, who's on here, says this to all his students, and I've been using it. This is a very professional career. This is it's a dangerous field, and you've got to take it seriously. Many of you are going to be using financial aid. You're going to be getting loans. You're investing your time, and you don't want to come here and you don't want to be one of the students who doesn't take it seriously. Plus, the employers are always asking us about your attendance. Brandon, talk about it, how important attendance is here and how we operate,
Of course, attendance is very important. If you're not here, you're not learning. And participation is a big part of your grade. Now, this is a clock hour school, so you're required to be here a certain amount of time. You can only have 6 absences and 1 tardy throughout the whole program. Now, if you miss 3 absences and 1 tardy in 1 module, you're going to have to roll back and redo it. Now, 3 tardies equal an absence. And again, 3 absences and 1 tardy in a module is a rollback, or 6 absences and 1 tardy in the whole program, and it's a rollback. So again, it's real important that you get your stuff straight before you come here, because you can't be leaving. Again, if you're not here, you're not learning, and you're not participating, and can't give you your certs if you're not here.
Okay, we got some questions. If you guys want to click on the panelists, let's go with the easiest one first. One of them wanted to know, Liam, one of my students wants to know, hey, how's the food?
yeah. Well, the food, the food, it's a lot of carbs, you're definitely carb loading out here. So if you came here pretty slim, you're going to leave here pretty stout.
And Leo, why is the carbs? Tell us why.
We're burning a lot of energy down there, burning a lot of energy. There's a lot of calories. It's a lot of energy being expended. So you just refueling back to the next day. So it all has a purpose.
Yeah. The other thing about the food, guys, remember you're in class Monday through Friday, but we have meals all through, some other schools, they only offer meals, breakfast and lunch. Dinners on your own and weekends. Here, even on the weekend, 7 days a week, we're feeding you. So you're focused Monday morning. Anything else you guys want to add?
It's not the best, but it could be worse.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's not the best, but it could be worse.
It's
good days and bad.
Yeah.
It's the nutrients what we need.
Yeah.
The type of work we're doing, we're burning a lot of energy, and we're always drinking water. We have big, what do you call those things?
The flasks, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Igloos.
Yeah. So
when you go under, the water and you're working, you're down there 2 hours or so, and you come back out, you're hungry. You don't really care. It's food.
yeah.
That's what you're looking for. So
yeah. On top of that too, how was your first week diving? Like your first real week diving? Like how did you feel? How did you come home and just was excited and had a lot of energy, or were you just passing out and pretty tired?
I come from a heavily strenuous background anyway, so it was nothing. It felt a lot like after I came out of a structure fire. You got the adrenaline pumping, you still like amped out about it, but you're also like, all right, let's find a bed. body's tired, you're fatigued, but you know, you still got that mental excitement about it. So it's a conflict of feeling, but it's awesome.
What about you, Sonia?
Yeah, the first week where I was diving every day, I was tired at the end of the day, but I was excited still. I was like, I can't wait to go back in the water tomorrow. Like, I want to do this and that.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fun. It's
Ready
like,
to get back into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
You will
Yeah.
leave here stronger than you came. I guarantee it.
Yep, mentally and physically. Hey, Nestor had a question. I just want to address this. Nestor said in the chat, you have to pay separate to live in the school. So the total program, Nestor, including the equipment that you're going to own, because you're going to need some of that equipment on your first job. But what we're quoting our students for the entire training, including everything, it's about $35,000. Now, some people might pay less because they live off campus, obviously, or they only do some of the meals. So we'll work out a specific. But if you live on campus, do the 7 days a week, it's about 35,000, Nestor, just to answer that question. Leo, there was another question by Colton, a good question. Is there anything we need to obtain before arriving at the school? What do they need to bring with them?
Determination.
No, and as far as like clothes and like, what do you guys need to bring with you? Just basics.
You need steel toes.
Toiletries
Sorry,
necessary.
Yeah, good. Go ahead. I mean, you just starting out.
You need like toiletries, anything you need to take a shower, keep yourself hygiene appropriate.
Yeah, that's an important one.
They only give you a bed and some lockers, so get some locks for the lockers.
Bring your bed, like, you know, sheets, comforter, you know, something to sleep on.
I'll go ahead and say from day to day, you're going to need steel-toed boots, some long work pant material pants, either blue jeans or, you know, Dickies material, something like that.
Yeah,
You need a belt to keep your pants up around your waist. A watch is a good idea. We're going to give you T-shirts to wear. You can see Sanjay's CDA shirt, and Watts is wearing one under his jacket. But you're going to need long work pants and some steel-toed boots at a minimum.
Yeah, and definitely
They give us hard hats.
definitely, you know, all the equipment is yours. You know, so your hard hat, your vest, your wetsuit, dry suit, you know.
Leo, there's another question, Riley, a good question. For the welding on land, do we have to bring our own hoods and equipment?
As far as no, the school provides everything. Now, if you do have your own hood, you'll have to clear it with Brandon, and once Brandon gives you the okay, then you can use it. It's generally up to the lead instructor, which is Brandon, to make sure gear is good to go. As far as other things, equipment wise, you'd have to ask the instructor or the lead instructor, and he'll tell you what you can and can't bring.
Yep.
Outside.
John, good to see you. John Durham had a question. Are we off on the weekends? Yes, pretty much after 5:30, it's your time and you're free on the weekends. A lot of our students do work part-time. There are jobs in Jacksonville. So, you know, our student right here, he's an EMT and he's amazing. He goes back to Georgia and he does EMT on weekends. So 5:30 Friday, but you got to be in muster 8 a.m. Be ready to go Monday morning.
I would like to add, appreciate that. I'm pretty sure Brandon would like to add about the 24-hour dive.
Yeah, your weekends are free most of the time. However, there's 2 weekends you got to worry about. Number one is we take a scuba trip to Ocala, Florida. We have a spring there. You guys can look it up. It's called the 40 Fathoms Grotto. Google it. It comes right up. It's really cool. Really awesome place to go scuba diving. If you already have your scuba cert, you can still come with us. We spend the weekend down there. We're going to go over some deep water stuff, the deep dive bell, some of the winch systems they have. If you don't have your scuba cert already, we're going to certify you while we're there. So that weekend, you have to plan around that. And then we do a 24-hour dive like Leo mentioned. And it is exactly what it sounds like. We come in on a Friday morning and 8 a.m. and we don't get off until Saturday morning, 8 a.m. So, again, there's 2 weekends out of the 5 months that you got to worry about, though. And we'll know well in advance when they're coming, so you'll have time to plan around them.
Okay, a couple more quick, smaller questions before we get some big ones. One question from Liam, Brandon and Leo and students. What knowledge do we need to have like math? I do get that question a lot. And, what would you say as far as the math skills?
So we do a NCCER construction math class, and what that is it's basic math. It's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of whole numbers and mixed numbers like fractions and decimals. Now, if you already know that stuff, perfect. If you don't know it, no big deal. That's why we teach the class. We'll start from basic, elementary stuff, addition, subtraction of whole numbers, and then we'll gradually get harder throughout the day. And there is a test on it, but we have some great instructors, and we'll get you to where you need to be. As far as beyond that, when we get into physics, now what we call physics, it's physics because of what it deals with. It's gas laws, but really the formulas are basic algebra. And again, we will walk you through step by step, and we take a long time on it, and you got plenty of time to learn it, and we'll do what it takes to get you where you need to be.
That's good.
So I can attest to that. I'm terrible at math, and I was capable of doing it. So you'd have to be really, really, really bad at math to not be able to do this. The instructors are great. They took plenty of time to help me figure it out. Yeah, that it's great.
Yeah, well, that you brought it up. I get that question a lot for those of you listening, and some of my students are starting in 3-4 months, and they've been out of high school for like 6-7 years, haven't done math that much. What I tell them is go online. There's stuff on YouTube. Just do a couple basic courses just to get your mind going. So remember, this is like boot camp. So if you're starting in 3 months, what can you do from now until then? Some people are losing weight. They're getting in shape physically, working out. So you got to physically, mentally, I tell my students, this is like commercial diving boot camp. You got to come here with that eye of the tiger. So if you think that you're, lacking in math, well, if you're starting in September, go online. I mean, nowadays you can go on YouTube and learn anything. So, talk to your rep, and I'm sure we can ask the instructors for some basic videos we can watch beforehand. So that's really important.
And I guess to add, I'm 33 years old. So, I just started in January. My birthday was April. So I started at 32. So it's never too late. It's definitely never too late. And I suck at math. So.
All right. Great. Thank you. Nestor, again, great questions, Nestor. How much time do you spend in the classroom out of the 5 months? So talk about, Brendan, the hands-on compared to the class time,
So in your freshman and your sophomore mods, there is more class time than dive time because you got to learn what you're doing and why you're doing it. You want to learn the effects it's having on your body. You want to know exactly what to do when you get there. But after we get through those first few modules, it starts becoming more dive time than classroom time. Whereas, again, your freshman module, you'll have 3 or 4 days of class, a day of diving. Sophomore module, you'll have 2 or 3 days of class, 2 days of diving. By the time you get to your junior mod, you'll have a day of class, and then the rest of the week is diving. You'll have a day of learning what you're going to do, and then you have 2 weeks of practicing in the water. So, again, it balances out. You're going to get 3,000 minutes of bottom time.
Okay. Okay. We have a big question from Noah and Brendan. I'm going to read it out, and maybe you can see it in the Q&A. Noah Warrington says, for the NCCR training, does having a training card hold any presidency in the field? I got my NCCR card before I graduated this year, and I was wondering if we could get placed in a higher training if we are really, that's not a common question, so maybe you could answer that.
So depending on what company you go to, they may require that training or training just like it. So we give it to you here. So whether you need it or not, you got it. Now, if you already have that training when you come here, we can give you credit hours for that class. So if you already have your NCCR rigor, we're not going to make you sit through that whole class and do all that again. You'll get the credit hours for it. Leo, I think you had a similar situation. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I had my OSHA certification, and I also had my NCCER. So what happens is, upon your packet, your packet, they'll go over it and see what they can apply the credits to. So that, and then ultimately you can bring your tuition down. But other than that, if you do want concurrent training, you're more than welcome to take it. But the one thing about that is, you won't have to take the course. The test over, but you'll have to sit in the class because it is a clock hour school.
Sure, yeah. And Alex, I know you're about to leave, so real quick. You asked the question which everyone wants to know. Is curious about employment for commercial diving, underwater welding. From what I've seen, it seems there's lots of jobs out there. Been looking into this the last few years. Okay, so a couple of things. And many of you have watched our previous webinar where our Director of Career Services is on, and we can certainly answer a lot of questions, but we can have you watch some of the previous recordings. First of all, for the last 4 years, we've been averaging over 90% placement. And we've had in the last year, just last year before COVID, 18 companies come and visit. In fact, we have one next week that our Director of Career Services, Doc, mentioned. They actually come on campus and interview our students. Part of what we do and what in our courses is you're going to start researching companies. We're going to prepare you, help you with your resume, and we're going to introduce you to these companies. And as Brandon was mentioning, you're going to have maybe multiple interviews way before you graduate. One of the great things about CDA is our reputation. They know our training is, top of the class, very serious. So employers know that our students are learning real life experience. We had a couple graduates a couple months ago. They went on a job site and they were graduates from other schools and they had never worked in a live condition. They had only worked, Brandon, what was it? In the pool and in the tanks, and they were afraid. And our graduates are like, hey, we've been dealing with low visibility on a daily basis. So, and again, I don't want to keep talking, Brandon. Talk about, the career. I know you've been in the field and, this is a good paying job and there's jobs all over the world, basically,
Absolutely. And right now is a hot time to get into the business because there is so much work going on right now for a few different reasons. Oil prices are high, so they're wanting to get it out of the ground. We're required to do inspections every so often on oil rigs out there. There's scheduled maintenance, and then there's stuff that just fails, and it's got to get taken care of. Well, all the scheduled maintenance for last year when COVID got big didn't get done. So they're playing catch up right now. So they have all that work to do, plus the work to do, this year. On top of that, all the stuff that failed, which if you're not out there doing maintenance, there's plenty of stuff failing. So that's why it is on fire right now with people hiring. I got buddies calling me every day asking for who I can recommend. Robbie Champagne from Sea Dive will be here, as you mentioned. I just want to throw out there, we have advisory boards every 6 months or so. And during those advisory boards, we have meetings with the owners of companies, construction companies and dive companies, and other educational institutes. And during those advisory board meetings, they tell us, hey, this is where we're having trouble. This is where people could use help. This is where they're strong. So we literally tailor this program to fit the company. The same guy that's coming here to speak to our students is the same guy that I spoke to 6 months ago on a meeting, and he told us where to tighten up and where we're doing great at. So again, our training is we're literally exactly what they're looking for in their words. So.
Absolutely. Well said. Very good. Hey, a couple more questions. So Jake Santiago said, I have 3 certs myself, such as rescue, dry suit, and advanced open water. Would any of these affect anything?
No, that stuff is scuba diving. Scuba diving is completely separate from surface applied diving. Now, you are required to have your scuba cert in order to get your surface applied cert. It doesn't really affect anything else.
Very good. Okay.
You can be a dive master. You're still going to have to go through this full training course.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in real quick because we got, I think, at least 3 international students on. We normally don't, so I want to just explain real quick about international students. We have, I think, 3 from 3 different countries. First of all, we do offer the M1 visa. So we do have international students. We just graduated. Leo, your class, we had somebody from Germany. I remember I met him the first day. We've had students here from Mexico, South Africa. So it is possible. Obviously, with COVID, the visa situation is difficult. In some countries, I know I'm Persian, so Mr. Farhad, sometimes it's hard to get visas from certain countries, but it is possible. Now, in order to come as an international student, there is no financial aid. You have to show that you have the funds. You're not eligible for any government aid from the United States government. So you have to show a bank statement of $35,000. And that will allow us to send you a letter for you to go to the US Embassy in your country or in Bahrain or whatever to do an interview. And I will help you with the interview if you want to kind of prepare you, but we don't give the visa. We just give you the letter of acceptance to go to the US Embassy to get that visa. Now, after you graduate, you cannot work in the US. This is a student visa. So whether you're coming from India, Africa, Iran, China, you're going to have to go back to your country. Okay. Now, if you have specific questions, email us, and our director of career services can answer questions. But majority of our alumni who are international, Brandon, maybe you've known many of them. They usually go back to their country. They come here for the training because it's first class, and they use our certifications to get hired internationally. Is that correct?
It's a mixture. The student that just graduated, he did go back to Germany and is getting a job there. But some people get here, and again, our career services guy is so good. If they're able to get a work visa, then they start working here in the U.S. But it's really depends on them, on what they're looking for and where they want to go. If they do want to stay in the U.S., again, we'll help them any way they can. We'll get them a job with a company, but it's really up to them whether or not they can get their work visa.
Yeah. So that if the company wants to give them, so a company has to hire them and give them a work visa. Right.
Right. But again, as we've said time and time again, most companies love our graduates and are willing to work with them.
Jason, no, I am your rep. You emailed me on Instagram, so I'm going to be talking to you, Jason. All right. I got you. Okay. Riley had a question. Working as a dive medical technician in the U.S. Navy, awesome, and holding a civilian EMT and other medical certification, is there an opportunity in commercial diving as a medical personnel? We get that a lot. I need extra training after graduation to work as a DMT. So talk about that, Brandon.
If you get your DMT, it's usually about an extra $2 an hour. The good thing about it is if they need an extra hand and you have your DMT and the other guy doesn't, they're going to want that DMT before the other guy. As far as the training that you're going to need, we do provide that training here. As far as when that course will be starting up, I don't have that answer for you right now. But there's definitely room for EMTs and DMTs out on the boat. It used to not be a requirement. You didn't need one. Before I left Triton, they required one DMT on each shift. So it's definitely good that you have that, and it'll take you a long way.
All right. Now, I know we have the students over there. Let's hear from them a little bit. What do you got? What are your plans afterwards? Are you guys looking to do Leo, you guys are on mute, by the way. Do you guys want to go offshore, inland? What are, you've been here now a few weeks and months. What is starting to formulate and what you want to do afterwards? Have you guys thought about that?
I really want to go offshore. I'm still doing my research because I really like the company Triton and Chet Morrison, the same people that Brandon went to. But I wanted to do scavenging, but really I'll go to any company if it's offshore. I'm not that picky.
As far as I'm concerned, well, the student or prospect that was mentioning a DMT, I mean, I'm already an EMT, so I was kind of looking to try to expand on that and take it wherever. But if that's not a thing, I don't know. Nuclear is interesting to me, and so is like research and conservation. I know that's kind of more of a niche thing, but I like the natural world, so I'm trying to see if I can't go there too.
We just had a guy 2 classes ago had a job in Hawaii before he graduated. Had a job in Hawaii to go retie fish nets, man.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities.
That's cool.
I mean, if you want
Guys
to
making
travel,
in crystal clear water, tying fish nets in Hawaii. What a life.
Leo, we got to get him to
That's a
send
job.
pictures for our Instagram.
Say again?
We got to get him to send us pictures so we can put it on our Instagram to show everyone.
Oh yeah, that's Ross. I know.
I'm not on your Instagram.
Real quick, I know that the young lady, and we do have students who are young ladies who call us. So, Leo, if you can have the young lady talk to us about being a female at CDA, because we do get a lot of female students. Sometimes I get the question, what's the culture like? And, we've done a lot of webinars. I'm really excited. The first time we've had a female student on the webinar. So this video is going to be watched by many future students. So what's your advice for our future students who are watching this, who are female and want to get into this field?
It's like a typical, boys are going to be boys, and we're all on a construction site, so they're going to be all these types of jokes that you're probably not going to get, or they probably don't even want to say around you because you're a female, but just be human being, be one of the boys. Like, it's not that hard, and it is kind of challenging, but I get around it, and I do my own thing. I do have a few friends here. They're really cool. What else? Living in the dorms as a female surrounded by a bunch of boys, I have had no issue yet. And if I do, there's females that work here in the administration room, so they're very friendly, very open-minded. So if I do have an issue, I go to them, which I never had an issue. What else can I say? You get your own bathroom and a key, so that's completely private. And they give you dorms that are downstairs, which they're completely different from the dorms upstairs. That you have your door locks, so that's really secure.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great advice. I'm sure a lot of future students want to hear that, what you said, so I appreciate it. Okay,
Yeah.
a couple more questions. We've got about 50 minutes. Farhad asks, and this is for everybody. Brandon, this is a big question. Obviously, it varies, but, what is, like, you get out, I know you started as a tender, but what's the kind of money that people are making, and what's the possibility of what, I know saturation diving, everyone wants to be a saturation diver, but, it's not overnight. So talk about that, because everybody watches this movie, Last Breath, and now they want to be a saturation diver,
Yeah, man, there is good money in SAT, and SAT's getting bigger than ever right now. When you graduate this school, if you decide to go offshore, you don't just hire on automatically as a diver. You have to work your way up to it. Kind of like people don't graduate in college and they're automatically a judge. You have to be a lawyer first, then work your way up to the judge position. Same thing with diver. You have to be a tender. And what the tender basically is it's kind of like a squire is to a knight. They're the ones that work on the deck and set up the gear and test everything and get it all ready for the diver. They do pretty much all the prep work. Now, once you do that for a couple years and you break out as a diver, the diver, he just wakes up, puts his hat on, gets in the water. When he's done with his dive, he goes back to bed until they wake him up to dive again. It's pretty easy life, but you have to earn that being a tender. Now, I do want to say, though, you do dive as a tender. Most companies require you to have 100 dives before they break you out as a diver. So you are going to be diving as a tender. It's just you're going to be working on the deck also while you're diving. As far as pay goes, I can't speak for everyone. I'll go ahead and tell you, my very first year as a tender, I only was making $17 an hour, and I made $76,000 that year. And it was because while you're on the boat, you have 12-hour days, 7 days a week. That's an 84-hour week. Okay, that's 40 hours of regular time, 44 hours of overtime. And then you could get more than that also, because changeovers aren't exactly on time every day. If you work over 15, 20 minutes, they give you the whole hour. Not only that, but you also have what they call depth pay. And this is where the real money happens. At the time, they paid you $1 a foot up to 100 foot, $2 to 150, $3 to 200, $4 to 250, and $5 to 300. So if you did a 200-foot dive, what's that? An extra, I'm bad at math right now, but it's an extra $300, $350 on top of all that overtime. So it really adds up. And the way they work these schedules out, where every other day you're making 2 dives. So that means you get double the depth pay plus 24 hours of pay for that day. That's why, making $1,200, $1,500 in a day is not that uncommon on those mixed gas jobs. Saturation, if you want to get into that, again, you're going to have to break out as a diver. And then they have what they call a SAT Betty. Now, a SAT Betty is basically a tender for the SAT system. When these guys are in the system, they're locked in there. They can't come out to do it. They can't go make a sandwich. They can't flush the toilet without help. Well, that's what the SAT Betty does. Is you're going to pass them food in the system, give them water. When it's time for them to bathe or go to the bathroom, you open valves on the outside. But while you're doing that, you're learning the system. So when there is an opening, you're the one that hops in there because you already know how everything works. It does take time, but it can happen. And I believe SAT pay right now, I think they're starting people out at $800, $900 a day. And you're in there for about 28 days at a time. So you work about 30 on and about 30 off. So you're working 6 months out of the year, and every month you come home, with a little under 30 grand in the bank. So it's not bad.
Yeah. All right,
Not
very
bad,
good.
not bad at all.
Now, Mahesh had another question. Are the practical training times fixed, or can we get extra time for practicing more?
Well, our schedule is fixed, but you can work that out with your instructor. We do have instructors that live here on campus. We have RAs, interns. If we do have people willing to stay after hours or work through lunch to give you some extra help. And if you really need some help tutoring or something like that, we will work that out.
Great. Well, a couple of things before we finish, and we'll make sure the panelists go around one more time to say last words. But many of you watching this, some of you, I know, like Michael Rossetti and Zachary, Riley, some of you guys already applied. You're working with financial aid, so make sure you get all your documents. A lot of you are just prospective students, and you're considering various schools. We're getting a lot of applications in the last few weeks. There's a school that was open that is closing just north of us in South Carolina. And I'm getting so many calls every day from students who were supposed to go there and now coming and want to come to CDA. So what I'm trying to say to you as a director of admissions is let's get your application in because the spots fill up. Brandon, how many students start, would you say, per cohort usually?
We won't take any more than 35. But when the more students you have, the more hectic things are. I personally like the small classes. You get more one-on-one time with the instructor. You get to learn, you get more hands-on with the equipment. The more students, the less stuff there is to do for each person.
Definitely.
But
now every class, every month we start a new class. So some classes are 20, some are, and if we go over 35, we split them into 2 sections, right, Brendan?
Right. Right now, the average is about 15 to 20.
Yeah. So, but we're starting to see a lot of applications the last 2 weeks, especially with one of the campuses closing down. So my word of wisdom for you, most of you have an admissions rep, please contact them. They'll be contacting you next couple of days. Get your application fee. If you are a U.S. vet, or your application fee is 100% waived, $100. So, but let's get your application in. The sooner you apply, the sooner we can start working with you on the financial aid aspect, which is a big part. We do offer FAFSA. We have private loans. We have payment plans. So we will work with you if you want to make this happen. All right. We got about a few minutes left. Leo, any last words of wisdom? What would you like to tell our guests and our students? Again, thank you so much for you guys for coming. We really appreciate you being there. You've really helped make this webinar so successful. So Leo, the floor is yours, my friend.
Most definitely. I appreciate it, Brandon. I mean, if you have, feel free to have, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can go on our Facebook, you can talk to your admissions rep, you can go on our Instagram, which is CDA Tech. The next classes are starting. We have, the June 21st. June 21st is our next class. So for those of you that would like to apply for that course, you should start that paperwork as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
Gabriel just asked if you want to start in August, should I apply now? Yes.
Yes.
June,
yes.
July, August, September tend to be the biggest classes. So get your app in, get off, get on the computer and just go and fill it out. Okay.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then Riley had one more question. Sorry, Leo. How hard is it to become a SAT diver? Can you come out of school and go to that area, Brandon?
You're not going to graduate. You're not going to graduate and hire on as a SAT diver. As I said earlier, you're going to have to be a tender, break out as a diver. There's different levels of diver too. As soon as you break out, you're a diver 3, and then you graduate to 2, and then a 1. Most of the time, the SAT divers, they're going to want that diver 1. And you got to understand why. Once you're locked in there, you're locked in. If anything happens, they can't just open the door and let you out. Depending on the depth and how long you're down there, it's going to be days before you can get out. So they want to make sure you're good and know what you're doing when you get down there and can do it safely before they put you in that sort of situation. So, but it does happen. I have a friend that I went to dive school with, and it took him about 3 years out of dive school, and he was in the system. So it can happen. If that's your goal, keep your eye on it, and you got to work towards it. Hire onto a company that has a SAT program. Request to be a SAT Betty, and let it be known that that's what your goal is, so they can keep you on a streamline in that direction.
Great. All right, the students, anything else you guys want to say? Thank you again. Anything else you guys want to leave our guests with?
It's a it's a lifestyle and a career path that you gotta have a certain determination and willingness to go into. But if you've got that willingness and determination, then by all means, more power to you. We look forward to seeing you. When you get here, say hey, and we're more than happy to help out in any way we can.
Thank you. All right.
Coming here, how should I say it? I had a plan, like what was it? Expectation of what I'm going to be learning and doing, but coming here, it's such a much bigger experience because you get people from all kinds of states and international people. So you learn a lot more than you expect, and you meet a lot of different people, and that greatens the experience too.
That's a fact. It is. It can be a culture shock.
It is. It's really cool.
That's great. Well, we love that. Yeah, and then you know what? You're going to meet people who are ahead of you who could become great networking because you're all in the same field. So become friends with everybody because you never know. Someone 2 months ahead of you could be the person who calls you and says, "Hey, there's a job," right?
Yeah,
Right, Brandon?
It's a very small industry.
And that
It's a
actually
very
just,
small industry, and everyone knows everyone.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
It's plan on making some good friends and keep those names for networking.
Yeah,
I will
most
also like to say one more thing. While you're here, you're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be fun, but that's not why you're here. You're here to learn and to train. So keep that in mind. You're gonna have a good time, but you're here to learn. Roger.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys very much for coming and enjoy. We'll send you the recording if you wanted. And again, any questions you have, myself, Leo, our staff, we got Jeff, we got Andrew, we got Scott, our admissions team, first class, an amazing financial aid office. So let us know what you need. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your evening. Be safe.
Got you.
And
All right,
take
then.
care, everyone. Good night.
See you.
Take care.